Welcome in, writers, once again. Hope you all are doing well. Welcome to another Reading Scripts Live. The last week's one was a ton of fun, and I think this one is going to be fun as well. We have got some scripts already in the email. Well, at this point, you either have submitted or you haven't. If you also submitted your script in the Discord, that's fine, but the best place for it is the email. And give me a PDF so I can just open it up and read it, and there's no extra steps. What's up, Joshua, Darius, Tom, the SFM guy? Good to see you, sir. In the Discord, I see Ali, Joseph, John Boy, and Thomas. Good to see you all in. Hello, Wormy. Good to see you here. I'm doing well. I'm ready to read some scripts today. This is gonna be fun. Hey, Chairsman, good to see you in. Huge delay in YouTube, he says. Yeah, that's how it goes sometimes. That is how it goes. But if you can hear me loud and clear, then that's really what we need. Hello, Victoria. All right, I'm gonna start opening up some of these scripts today. We have got a few of them. I see another. I see Wormy has. Let's see, the Scorpion. Let's see how many we got here. I'm gonna line them all up. The Scorpion by Wormy Spoons. Also, I see you sent me something else. You just sent me the Executioner. I don't know what this is, but it looks cool, so I'll show it on stream. And of course, 1 second, let me do this, and then this, and here we are. Wormy sent. Oh, why did everything go away? Where's Mobius? Okay. Anyways, I must have hit a button. Okay. So Wormy sent me a script. Where did I put the actual... There it is. Give me this. Okay. And then let's pull these other ones up. Victoria sent me a script. The Faithful Fool. Decided to try my hand at writing a script, although I'm not fond of the format. Here's a fun exercise. Sorry for it being longer than 6 pages. Okay. Let's see. Reading a short, recording short, fight. Joseph, what did you send me? You sent me like an album link? Okay, Bryant Bond also sent me Mexican Gray. We'll grab this one as well. Ali sent me a script as well. What is this one called? It has no name other than Mowery Homework 1127. Okay. We will go with it. Mowery Homework 1127. Joseph Benoit, November 27th. Okay, here we go. So, Joseph, you sent me a script and you sent me a... You said ignore the album link. That's a recorded reading. I sent a PDF and a log line. Perfect. Okay, I have it. John sent me one. Sweet. And then other John sent me. Right. The Flying Scotsman. Okay, cool. So we got a good 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 today. Okay. Where's my chat at? Yeah, I'm guilty, Victoria says. Yeah, title page does not count. Wormy is correct. All right. Well, I got them pulled up here, so let me do this. I don't know why it's not wanting to grab my... There we go. Weird that it keeps doing that. Okay. Cool. So we have The Scorpion by R.L. Bramley. We have The Faithful Fool by Victoria Stowe. We have Mexican Gray by Chairsman. We have Maury _homework_ November 27th, written by Allison. And we have Fight Fight, written by Joseph M. Benoit. We have Lineage, written by John W. Bushka. And we have The Flying Scotsman, written by John Boy. Okay. All right. Well, let's go ahead. Is R.L. Bramley, is that Wormy Spoons? I think that's Wormy Spoons. Correct me, Wormy, if I'm incorrect. Executioner Scorpion. Okay. Cool. We're going to go ahead and start reading. Give me a thumbs up if you're ready to get into these. We've got a lot to read today. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We're going to read them all. This is going to be fun. I love doing these shorter versions. I think this is a lot more fun. Doing these 6-pagers is super fun. Yeah, that's me. Excellent. Perfect. All right, let's get to it. The Scorpion by R.L. Bramley, a.k.a. Wormy Spoons, based on the eggs in Jesse's fridge. Exterior, dark coastal road night. A rusty beat-up Jeep rattles along a winding coastal road. Inside Sammy, the Scorpion, Jay, and Paul. Interior... Oh, by the way, before we get into this, just so that everybody's on the same page, the assignment from last stream was to write a 6-page short that had one fight scene in it at least, and that fight scene needed 4 characters that were involved in the fight. So that was the homework, just so that we're all on the same page. Each of these scripts should reflect that. We will see if they followed instruction. So anyways, we were talking to Sammy the Scorpion, Jay, and Paul. Interior Jeep continuous. Jay reaches into a duffel bag, grinning, as he pulls out and waves a thick stack of cash. Look at all this dosh, mate. Did you see the faces on those Muppets when they had to hand over the bag? The Scorpion strikes again. You weren't on another level, kid. You were on another planet. Sammy smirks, flexing his bruised knuckles. Suddenly, headlights appear in the rear view, closing in fast. The rumble of a powerful V8 grows louder. Paul glances nervously in the mirror. Exterior, dark coastal road continuous. A massive 4x4 pickup looms behind them, its high beams glaring. The truck swerves aggressively, roaring as it inches closer. Interior Jeep. Paul slams the gas pedal. The engine groans, but the truck keeps gaining. It's on them. Giant wheels bearing down. Chrome grill, a vast mouth intent on devouring them. Exterior coastal road. I don't know how many of these we need back and forth every 20 seconds because we're in the same scene. The 4x4 swerves, metal on metal, slamming into the side of the Jeep. Crunch! Interior Jeep. The Jeep veers wildly as Paul fights the wheel. Who are these cunts? The Jeep misses a sharp turn, skidding off the road onto loose gravel as the 4x4 rams them again. Smash! Exterior cliffside continuance. Rubber squealing. The Jeep slams into the barrier. The impact propels Sammy forward. His legs smash against the dashboard with a sickening crunch. His head crashes through the windshield, glass spraying out. Sammy hurtles into the tropical night air. His left side catches the twisted metal of the bonnet. It rips through his flesh, sending him into a flat spin. He cascades down into darkness, bouncing off jagged rocks. Crack, crunch, whack, crack, squelch. His mangled body lands, eyes to the sky, with a final thud. Sammy's POV, the star-filled night sky. Distant voices, indistinct shouting, breaks the silence. Then gunshots ring out. Sammy listens as he breathes in rasping breaths. The 4x4's V8 growls off into the night. Suddenly, a star slides across his view, getting larger and larger until it is a bright light engulfing him. His eyes flutter shut. Cut to interior dimly lit lab night. Sammy blurs back into consciousness. His vision swims. Faint mechanical hums and the whir of machinery fill the air. Sammy's POV suspended in a harness. Tubes and wires crisscross his broken form, entering the stumps where his limbs used to be. His torso mutilated, a gaping hole in his left side. His reflection on a nearby surface shows half of his face smashed, gums and teeth grotesquely exposed. This is what they give me to work with? Half-dead meat bag. What am I meant to... Sammy's vision clears. He focuses on the figure before him. A towering creature glides closer on numerous tentacle-like appendages. Its skin shimmers with an incandescent blue and purple glow, pulsing faintly. Its bulbous head tilts, massive black, soulless eyes fixed on him. Do you understand my words? Sammy hesitates, his breath shallow. Then, a tentative nod. Good. That means the operating system has successfully integrated. My name is Mole. I am your builder. What the fuck is going on? We don't have time for that. I need you conscious to start the transfusion. The nanos require interaction with your neural network for optimal results. Nanos, mate, you keep your dirty fucking tentacles off me. I didn't sign up for this. Mole tilts her head, her appendages rippling. She glides toward a bank of terminals, her tentacles tapping rapidly on glowing buttons. The nanofluid will rebuild you for combat. Unfortunately, it will not be pleasant. Hiss of pressure release. A sparkling silver-gray liquid begins flowing through the tubes into Sammy's mangled body. His breathing quickens. The fluid enters him. Sammy screams, his body arcing against the harness as the liquid spreads through his veins. Ah! Ah! The silver liquid courses visibly beneath his torn skin. Sammy's screams echo through the lab as Mole watches on with morbid interest. Fade out. Interior. How many pages is this? Interior, the 10x10 metal box, Sammy's POV. The dim light glints off the dented, scarred walls of the windowless metal room. Deep gouges mar the surface. Sammy stares at his reflection in the steel, his face unrecognizable, save for his right eye peeking out from a metallic organic armor that now covers his entire body. He punches the wall. The steel groans, leaving a large indentation. He reaches behind his head and draws a serrated sword, his twisted grin reflecting off its surface. Thud! The box shudders violently. A red light above the door flickers green, followed by the hiss of pressurized air. The heavy steel door slides open. Exterior alien landscape day. Sammy steps out onto rocky terrain under a swirling twin sun alien sky. Strange vegetation dots the landscape. His gaze fixes on a steel box 300 yards away. Standing atop it is his opponent, a massive figure with black metallic armor resembling a gorilla. A red light glows ominously on its shoulder. Effects, laser charge hum. Sammy's instincts kick in. He darts to the right as a laser beam slices through the air, cutting a swath through the trees and vegetation. The beam arcs past his metal box, leaving a smoldering black gash across its surface. Fucking laser beams! You're taking the piss, mate. Sammy crouches behind a large boulder, catching his breath. All right, gotta get close. Grabbing a broken tree trunk, he peeks out from his cover, the robot gorilla hulking towards him, calm, deliberate, mechanical strides. He hurls the tree trunk high in the air. The gorilla's laser tracks it. The beam lights up, slicing the trunk in midair. Seizing the moment, Sammy bursts from cover towards the black bulk, pneumatic limbs pumping him forward with blistering speed. The gorilla reacts, turning its laser toward him. Sammy leaps, flipping the beam as it fizzles out. The laser unit glows orange, cooling down. Sammy makes a range, swinging a brutal right hook. The gorilla blocks. Clang! Sammy swings around the arm, ducking behind. He grabs the glowing unit with both hands. His fingers glow orange. Grimacing, he rips the unit free. Wires and conduit exposed, silver claret flows. Sparks fly as the gorilla groans, spinning to swipe at Sammy. Sammy jumps back just in time. Tossing the unit aside, Sammy draws his sword. The gorilla roars, its massive frame bounding toward him. Footsteps like, by the way, there's only 2 people in this fight so far. And it's going, but we'll see. Sammy sidesteps, drawing his blade across the gorilla's guts, leaving a deep gouge. The gorilla stumbles, then quickly recovers, turning to face him with a guttural growl. That's fun. I like that formatting. Sammy lunges forward, thrusting his blade. The gorilla staggers back, looking at the weapon embedded in his chest. It reaches down, pulling the sword free, with a spray of gray fluid tossing it to the ground. The gorilla beats its fist against its chest, wound oozing as it charges Sammy again. Sammy ducks and weaves, landing Rezusa's shots to the body and head. The enraged gorilla barley phase. Then boom, a massive fist connects with Sammy's jaw. Clang! Sammy's vision blurs, his head rings as he topples onto his back. Okay, so far, what I'm bored of is the fact that there's only 2 characters in this fight. I specifically said have 4, and this is why this is like, I get it. You're writing, Wormy, you are writing much more visually here, and I think that's really strong. Your line-by-line read here is way stronger than before, miles better. I think you did a real good job of feeling a sense of this, but I want more characters in this fight. There's only 2 characters. And so because of that, the dynamic does not feel as dynamic, as wide open, as more things can be going on here. But let's continue. Where were we at? The jaw, his vision blurs, his head rings as he topples onto his back. The gorilla pounces, raining down thunderous bolts. Sammy puts his arms up, absorbing the wrath. Boom, boom, boom. Only a matter of time. Boom, boom. Then he spots it, his sword lying just out of reach. He stretches out his fingers, clawing at the ground. Boom, boom. Finally, his hand closes around the hilt. Boom. A lot of booms. With a furious yell, he drives the blade into the gorilla's side. Steel screeches. The gorilla groans, staggering back. Sammy bounds up, his hand molding into a claw. He clamps the gorilla's throat, metallic tail tip. Stinger strikes down, sinking deep into the gorilla's skull. The gorilla shudders violently as the electric sparks dance across his body, releases his grip. Collapses the ground, twitching, then falls still. Sammy drops to his knees, breathing heavily. The scorpion strikes again. Fade out. Interior Star Destroyer. Bridge, night. The command deck of the Star Destroyer is vast, cold, and ominous. The oval-shaped Executioner General Shro, clad in sleek black armor with an ornate crimson cape. Below, through the glass, a purple-green planet looms. Excellent, as the council commands, I understand. Behind him, multiple screens flicker, displaying images of advanced apes holding vigils. Groups of them gathered in cities, fields, and on beaches, their faces turned upward towards the sky, their eyes filled with wonder and unease. Shrou's mechanical hand seats the receiver and reaches toward a small compartment on the console. He slides it open, revealing a large yellow button. His fingers hover above it. Exterior Star Destroyer, outer hull continuous. A massive tail rises from the ship's rear section with a deep industrial whir. A coiled weapon with a glowing ringed core at its tips, sparking with arcs of electricity. A pulsing hum, vibrations rippling through the surrounding ether, reaching a high-pitched whine. Blinding beam of energy, zoosh. Yeah, you're writing super visually here. Now I want more characters. Their weapon unleashes a colossal beam of searing light, striking the planet's surface. Exterior planet surface continuous. The ground buckles and swells. Massive fissures. Entire landscape warps. Interior Star Destroyer on the screens. Apes phasing frozen. Shock and horror try to flee. Others kneel. Their eyes still fixed upwards. The green screens black out one by one. Colossal explosion. Ba-boom! The planet erupts in a vast cloud of plasma and debris, sending shockwaves through the surrounding void. Blasted into Naga existence. Love the puns. The brilliant light fades, leaving a mini supernova. Drifting the silence of space, the scorpion strikes again. Shroud stands unmoving. Drifting devastation below, fade out, roll credits. The end, question mark? And then a couple pages just for fun. Okay, cool. So, I love, you really took the lesson to heart from Jesse's script last week about the visual nature of how he's writing. That's super clear for me. This is line by line, much more visual, much more cinematic to read on the page. Even looks more like, see how it sort of just as you scroll through it kind of looks more like a screenplay, right? We have our caps in our different moments, and we have, being intentional about all these little pieces, right? It sort of creates this whole feel on the page. So I like that. But yeah, now is time for you to focus on the story part, right? This was a good lesson in the page writing, which is part of the skill of this. But now we need to go back to story and get more characters involved. I see that you said in the chat that I thought we just had to have 4 more characters, not that they all had to be in the fight. But that was not the instruction I gave. Good work, though. I like this. I think this was a fun read, and hopefully it was a good exercise for you in that the visual level of writing. Now I just want more characters in individual scenes, right? If you watch this is what I've said time and time again. If you watch a Hollywood film, there's a lot of character dynamics involved. It's not just always 2 characters, right? You can have some of that, but when you are in the culture of the story, right? When you're in the society of the story, when you're in a drama, man versus society or people versus the group, all of this stuff, we need to get bigger. We need more characters involved. That's my note. All right. So Victoria did not follow instructions. She wrote one that's too long, but we will read it. But I want to read one that's actually shorter first. Let's see. Chairsman. Okay. Okay, that counts. All right. Let's read Mexican Gray by Chairsman. He gives me the wink in the Discord. Let's do it. Exterior Mexican jungle day. We open with Hope, 38 female, steadily moving through brush. She's in combat gear wearing 4 pistols, 2 revolvers, 1 shotgun, 1 sword, 1 machete, 4 knives, 2 smoke bombs, and a shrunken head necklace. The shrunken head speaks, Hope, please, don't do this shit. This ain't what you want. What you really want. Don't do it for me or her. Exterior Mexican cave day. Hope shoots 2 smoke bombs into the cave. Screams come from the cave. Cabra, 30 male. Guadalupe, 25 female. And Skip, 14 male. So these are not adequate character descriptions. It's almost like you loaded up on giving me all the detail for every single one of Hope's guns. Then you didn't have any more ideas in the tank to give each one of them some sort of unique attribute, right? You give her a shrunken head necklace, 4 pistols, 2 revolvers, 1 shotgun, 1 sword, 1 machete, 4 knives, 2 smoke bombs. And then these characters only get 30 male, 25 female, 14 male, right? We can take some of this energy and put it with our other characters. But let's continue. They emerge from the cave. Oh, Skip's here again. Wasn't he in the last one? Cabra and Guadalupe transform into werewolves. Hey, we're keeping it thematic with the werewolves. Where Cabra is black-furred and beefy. Where Guadalupe is slim and brown-furred. Hope looks up at the sun, surprised. Wait! Let me talk to her. What's the fucking point? She's never gonna stop till she kills you. Shit, she might not even stop then, mijo. Okay, but how am I supposed to live with myself without trying, Lupe? So now... This is where setup comes into play here. We're hopping directly into an argument, but we want to build to that big argument. For like 15 seconds. But okay, so she's going to, let me just see. Okay, she's standing, she's in combat gear, and she's yelling. And then she shoots the bombs to the cave, and now they're screaming. And now we got the werewolf thing. Okay. Habazada, go on, mijo, Skip nods. Mom, can we please talk? Please. He walks to Hope. She stops him before he can get too close. This is a good exposition. Yay. While putting shrunken head in her shirt, Hope grabs 2 pistols. The pack growls. I'm not your fucking mother. Yes, you are. And I'm your son. No, you're not. Sons don't kill their grandmothers and eat their fathers. I fucking shudder at the thought that you came from my fucking womb. Skip falls to his knees crying. I didn't. It wasn't him, Hope. He's not himself when he transforms, and you know that. Bitch, who is talking to you? Where Guadalupe growls. Calm down, Lupe. Hope, I am Estevan. Most people call me Cabra. This is Guadalupe or Lupe talk. That's all we want to do. I know there's a lot of shit to discuss, but we don't have to fight, and I don't want to fight. Talk now, you want to talk. So, So I feel like they're screaming at each other, and then I'm looking for my next story beat. They look, briefly closes his eyes, Hope screams, pushes, okay. Shoots, Hope screams and shoots at Were Guadalupe. Were Cabra pushes Were Guadalupe out the base, shot in the left arm. Skips, runs away as Hope shoots the pack, running around the area. Hope is out of bullets. Were Guadalupe charges her. Were Cabra throws a few rocks. Hope drops the pistols and grabs two more. And, okay, well, so you are succeeding in the assignment. We've got Were Cabra, Were Guadalupe, Hope, and Skip all involved in this fight. So, gold star for you there. I feel like what is missing here is quiet. From opening line, I feel like everybody's just screaming. And that's kind of how the other script felt as well. And I think by focusing on the in-between space, you set up some quiet and bring us to a big fight. So if we're going to have this big fight where at the very beginning, Hope has all her guns and all she's got all her war gear and she's fighting these people, we want to start we want to see the lead up to this, because now this feels like we're having one big scene that's just a big fight only. But if we have some setup before the big fight and then we can use that big fight as our climax, then we have a setup and a punchline, a setup and a payoff, the stillness and the climax, the calm and the ferocious, the fight and the calm before the storm. Lupe! Skip stops running and looks around. He runs back where Cabra roars and climbs trees looking for Hope. Hope unzips her jacket, revealing a bomb around her waist. Where Cabra jumps down. I have a bomb. Back up. It's okay, mijo. It's not your fault. Yes, it is. Skip nods. Guadalupe smirks. Where Skip rushes Hope, flings her against a tree. He holds her up against the tree by her neck with his right hand. You destroyed my family, now it's your turn. Hope presses the detonation button. Where Skip rips the bomb off and throws it behind the cave. Shrunken head falls off Hope's neck. The bomb explodes. Fire reflects in Where Skip's yellow eyes. Welcome to hell. Okay. You killed her? Wait, Skip. So much to talk about. So, Shrunken Head is the dad? Interesting. Shrunken Chance. Hey, Champ, we have so much to talk about, can we? I know this. Chance is back. Chip and Skipper and Chance are back. I know this. I miss you too, Dad. Hold him. Where Skip hands Shrunken Head to Were Cabra, pushes Were Cabra away, and crushes Hope's chest with his right foot. Rain falls. Where Skip licks his lips and gets closer to Hope. Skip, no, please, God, no. Where Skip looks at his father, roars, humanizes and falls. Were Cabra catches Skip and walks to group. Everyone weeps. Okay. So, Where Skip licks his lips and gets closer to Hope, and then Shrunken Head says, don't do it. And then Where Skip stops. So the father, Where Skip's father, stops Where Skip from doing what he wants to do. Interesting. Which is not being pushed by the mother character, which is not being shrouded by the mother character, but standing. So we have this character. So it's interesting that in two stories, Chairsman, we have the character that is the werewolf, Skip, who is essentially dealing with the mother and is trying to push himself from out of under her influence. And Chance, right? Chance, Skip, no, please, no. The shrunken head. What an awesome symbol you chose. That's actually a great symbol. The shrunken head that represents Chance, that represents the father, being worn on the neck of the mother. What a excellent image you're bringing forward there. That's really interesting. So you have the mother is the powerful one, and the father is the one who is siding with the mother to the detriment of his own power as he becomes a shrunken head in her presence. And now it is really the decision of this story is Skip going to eat her or not? Or is he going to win, or is he going to allow himself to stay under her control? And here he listens to Shrunken Head, roars, humanizes, and falls. He does not. He essentially, at the end of this story, Skip rejects his true werewolf power. It's really interesting. To me, I think where Skip's arc is facing the mother without the support of the father, because he's not going to get the support of the father. The father is supporting the mother. So Skip must learn to stand on his own 2 feet. Okay, I got that, but I just wanted your criticism. Yeah, for sure. I thought you brought it up as something. Oh, you're talking to Thomas. Yeah, I mean, Chairsman, I am not so worried about your action lines right now. Like, we need to we need to be focused on the first things first. And I think you're actually touching on something really interesting with this story and the one that you wrote last week. You're touching on something that is valuable to you, that is important to you. You're touching on a theme that is clearly coming into both projects. That's the core, and that's what I want you to focus on. The exact action lines and these sorts of things, that is easily moldable once you have the story, and once you're able to put that story there, then we can fix sentence structure and formatting and these sorts of things. So it is definitely secondary to the primary task that we are doing, which is understanding what it is you're trying to write. And I think you have something here that's really interesting, and I think it is interesting that you chose this symbol, right? It's like a dream symbol. The shrunken head of the father. It's like a dream symbol. It's beautifully thought of. All right, 6 pages, and he fulfilled the requirement to have our characters be fighting. Good stuff. Mexican Gray, written by Chairsman. All right, let's keep this show on the road. Sorry for the title, Ali says. Oh, this is the title now. This is like your untitled project. It's like untitled, but this is Mowery _homework _1127, written by Allison. So I have no idea where we're going, right? No, nothing but suspense. Here we go. Exterior, haunted woods, night. Kit, young, slender male in his 20s, holds a lantern in one hand and rests his other hand on the hilt of his blade. Nero, rugged older man in his 30s, swings a spiked mace at his side, carefree. Flint, scrawny male in his 20s, adjusts the bow slung across his chest. I like this. I like you're giving us Blade, spiked mace, bow, all good. Exterior haunted woods. All of this is really nice. To be nitpicky, the only thing I would add here, especially as we are entering into the story for the first time, give me a little more for haunted woods. And I know I'm being nitpicky here, but I think it's important. We're introducing characters and we're introducing setting, place, scene, immediate space, and feel. So are there crows in the haunted woods? Is there an owl howling? Like, give us a little something there. Here we go. So what exactly are we looking for out here, Captain? They claim it's a demon. Some of the townspeople swear they've seen it creeping through the woods near our walls. So then why are we invading its territory? I'm telling you, this is a death sentence. Kit, how many times do we have to go over this? Do I need to bash you in the head to get the message across? You're never going to become a warrior unless you put in the work. Nero, who sports an eye patch on his right eye, has to crank his head far in order to make eye contact with Kit. You can't tell me I'm stupid for being worried about my safety. Maybe not, but it does make you a coward. Those townspeople are depending on us to protect them. You wouldn't want anything bad to happen to him. Or do you? Of course not, but you can't really protect others well if you're not physically able, can you? How's that one eye treating you? You better watch your tone with me. Hey, I can't listen for danger with the bickering. With all due respect, Captain, can you save his lecture for later? Nero shoots them both a look, then returns his gaze to the path ahead. Fine, both of you shut up and keep your eyes peeled. They continue their trek in silence, going deeper into the foreboding woods. Interior deep woods later, the trio continues their walk. An eerie fog settles on the decaying ground. They slow their pace. Nero holds his hand up to signal the others to stop. They listen. Something doesn't feel right. Kit, shine your light over there. Kit holds his lantern out. They stare into the bushes, but they don't notice the glowing red eyes. Before it's too late, a demon lunges out of the bushes and tackles them, shoving them onto the ground in a single strike. Its body appears scaled and tough. It wears shoulder armor with a hammer symbol engraved into it. Damn humans, foolish pests entering my home. You'll all suffer, suffer, suffer. It raises its hands, conjuring a large glowing hammer made of a dark black stone. The trio scramble to their feet, only to see the demon charging too late. It slams the hammer into them, sending them flying into a nearby tree. My head is spinning. I think I'm going to pass out. Oh God, I knew this was going to happen. We got to run while we still have the chance. Men, don't panic. Just stay calm. This is what we've been training for. Now on your feet. Good. Kit and Flit struggle to find their footing, but Nero is thrilled to finally have some action. Listen here, you damn monster. You won't be taking any more lives, you hear? Is that so? I'd love to see you try and stop me. The demon charges forward, but Nero is ready and reflects the attack with his mace. The demon staggers backwards as Nero presses forward. Kit, you gotta support him. I can't do it. You have to. You've been begging for a chance to prove yourself. This is it. Hurry. By the time Kit and Flinton look back to the fight, Nero was already laying defenseless in the dirt. The demon faces Kit with a snarl, then charges. Oh, shit! He draws his blade just in time to block the attack. The demon swings its hammer again and again, forcing Kit to slide backwards with each blow. You weak, pathetic humans, you're all the same. The demon uppercuts Kit, forcing his blade above his head and leaving his body wide open. It delivers a powerful kick to his stomach, sending him flying across the woods. Exterior small clearing continuous. Kit slams into a tree, knocking the air out of him. The demon appears, grabs him and throws him to the ground, then slams its hammer onto his chest. Okay, so we're getting into the fight and everything, and I think that's great. We're getting into a lot of the action beats. Now, I like what you say here about Kit, where you've been begging for a chance to prove yourself. This is it. So this is essentially what's happening here is Kit is the one who has to make this decision. He's making the character arc. Flint is telling him this is your opportunity to make that change. And so when they're having this conversation in the beginning, this conversation before we meet the demon is a very important point of setup. And in this setup, I think you can get more specific on what the quote-unquote, or on what the first decision is. And I think that decision is going to be with Kit making some sort of decision that is showing that he's looking to prove himself. I don't know if that's that he's practicing in the woods while they're at a campfire and everybody's sitting, or he's sharpening a blade, or he's reading something or praying, or I don't know, but he needs to be doing something that's that's him trying to overcome his fear, right? He knows he's about to face something that is going to cause fear to rise within him, and he needs to not run, right? And that's what's going to happen later, as Flint is reminding him. And so we want to get that sense, right? We're in the haunt. That's what I'm saying with the setup here, right? Okay, we get our characters, but we're in the haunted woods, right? We're in the place of fear, where everything is scary. And how does Kit feel now that he's in the place of fear with his lantern and he can't see everything in front of him, right? And Nero is Kit should be the one that's, he's holding the lantern and he's kind of shaking, right? He's hearing the noises in the haunted forest. And Nero is the one saying, you're going to be fine. And Flint is also saying, well, Flint's, I think, more of the friend, and Nero's more of the older one, the leader, right? Which is good. And so honing in that setup, making sure that we're getting the different emotions of the characters as they're heading towards their destiny, they're heading towards the demon they must conquer, that gets that kind of puts the audience on the roller coaster. Right now we're going click, 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 click up the roller coaster. We know we're preparing for this thing because we're showing where our different characters are emotionally. Kit is in a particular place emotionally. Nero is maybe being a little, or maybe Flint is mocking him a little bit in the beginning, and Nero is telling them to stay in line, and this is serious, right? Then when we actually get there, Flint also has his own sort of switch in the character dynamic, right? Each of your characters can be sort of switching around each other, right? Because they're in this constellation, they're in this web together. And so Flint can start kind of being insulting or, blah, blah, blah. And then once it starts, Flint is trying to encourage him, right? Because now we're in the battle. Now we are united as one. We're not boys giving digs at each other anymore. We need to be a united front against a common enemy, and now we show that change when we meet our demon here. Okay, where were we? We're on page 4, small clearing. Exterior, small clearing, continuous. Kit slams into a tree, knocking the air out of him. The demon appears, grabs him, and throws him into the ground, then slams its hammer into his chest. The ground beneath Kit cracks from the pressure of the blow. His eyes roll back into his head. What a sweet scent of fear you give off. See? Perfect. Absolutely pathetic. An arrow whizzes past the demon's head. It turns its attention to Flint, who attacks from afar. I'll be back to slaughter you after I massacre your friends. The demon lunges away, leaving Kit to lie in the dirt. His breathing slows. I have to get up. I have to help them. I don't want to. Can I just lay here forever? He stares at the stars above him. The sounds of fighting echo in the distance. If I stay here, it would just come back and finish me off. Would that really be so bad? He begins to choke. He rolls on his side and coughs up blood. He props himself onto his hands and knees, struggling to catch his breath. No. I have to help them. They're counting on me and I can't let them down. Kit pushes himself to his feet. He grabs his blade laying on the floor nearby, then forces himself to run towards the battle. Exterior deep woods continuous. Flint shoots arrows at the demon. It expertly deflects each one with its hammer, advancing closer with every block. Is that all? I'm almost starting to feel sorry for you worms. Flint shoots another arrow that flies directly toward its head. The demon catches it inches away from its face, then hurls it back at Flint. The arrow impales him in the chest. He falls down and goes still. The demon turns its attention to Nero, who is charging towards him full speed. He tackles it and they tussle on the ground. You can't win. Give up already. We're taking you down here and now. Okay. Where did Kit return? So, or unless maybe that's a typo. No, because here's Kit again. So we want Kit's entrance. He's not back in the scene yet. Allie is typing. Yeah, so if this is Kit coming back, then we want him running back in or something, right? We want the physical action first, usually. Unless it's going to be like, take this! Then we turn and he's right there, right? But you're saying Kit again, so it does seem like he's back. So, anyways. The demon strikes Nero in the gut, which sends him flying backwards. Kit has made it closer and witnesses the action. Captain! The demon turns to face Kit. Came back for more, huh? Fine, take this. The demon throws his hammer like a boomerang towards Kit. Kit leaps over it and goes into a sprint, holding his blade at his side. The hammer boomerangs back, nearly grazing Kit. He dodges expertly and jumps forward to strike the demon. Kit brings his blade down, but the demon blocks it as it catches the hammer. You think you're brave? You're nothing! The demon shoves him back and swings again, but Kit blocks the attack. They exchange a flurry of blows. Kit's steps falter as he gives the demon an opening. The demon strikes his side and sends him to the ground. Stay away from him, you asshole. Come at me. Nero struggles to take a fighting stance. His clothes are soaked with blood. Who do you think you're talking to? I've had enough of this. Playtime is over. Kit slowly gets to his feet. Blood drips from his stomach. The demon begins to charge. Let's cut out these begins tos. Towards Nero, who can do nothing but brace himself for the oncoming attack. Don't be afraid, now's my chance. If I don't go now, he'll die and it'll be my fault. Kit sprints and leaps in front of the demon. He thrusts his blade into its chest, stabbing its heart. As the demon brings its hammer down onto Kit's leg, Kit screams and falls as Nero watches in bewilderment. The demon staggers backwards with the blade still implanted in its chest. It chokes and collapses and bleeds out on the dirt. Kit, I can't believe you. Kit lies on his back, breathing heavy. His leg is mangled, broken, and twisted in an unnatural way. He begins to sob. Hey, it's okay. Everything's all right. Then, wait, hold on. Leaps from the demon, thrusts his blade into his chest, stabbing its heart. The demon brings his hammer down into Kit's legs. Demon staggers, walks back, plants his chest, chokes, collapses, and bleeds out. Okay. So, it chokes, collapses, and bleeds out. Is okay, the demon dies. Nero kneels down to confront him. Flint limps over to them, gingerly holding the arrow still impaled in his chest. I'm sorry for being such a coward. Relax, you did well. Be proud. Tonight, you saved the village. Ali, I really like how you use the 4 characters here. Different people are coming in and out of the battle, doing different things. Flint's getting knocked away. Kit has to come in and save. I like it. My biggest note is what I was saying in the beginning. We can set up Kit's fear a little stronger, set up the feeling of what it's like to be in these haunted woods. And, I think I get the sense that we're kind of in this medieval world with the mace and the blade and these sorts of things. I think you can get more thematically unified and thematically aligned if you were going to be like, okay, this is medieval. And that would be kind of in these descriptions of the vibe. What are some of the other medieval elements you can add in there of like space? Are we going by... old walls, ruined walls in the forest. The trees are extra big, things like that. They kind of set up that medieval sense. And also the way that characters curse in a story, like it's important to be intentional about that, because cursing is one of the things that make a story feel inauthentic if it's the right, like, are these medieval guys going to be saying asshole? They would probably have a different curse, right? Like if you watch Game of Thrones, for example, there's a way or almost a dialect of language that helps to immerse the audience and the reader in that story world. So that is something else that you could add to this to give it some flavor. A problem I faced when writing was meeting the page count, so I had to take out a lot. The majority of it was descriptive stuff, but I should have done something else instead. Like, I don't know, removing it. So I don't think it's a length problem. I think this conversation that happens here in the very beginning could be rewritten. I don't think this like, literally it's only a page and a half, and I think that's all we need. But I don't think... but I think we just want to show his fear a little bit more. Centered about that fear. And okay, so we're trying to create a scene choice. A scene decision can be something that is quote unquote small. For example, maybe the first setup choice here is Kit is the one with the lantern in the front, and he doesn't want to be in the front because he's scared of the woods. And so he's holding the lantern. They're making him be the front. And maybe he goes through a spider web. And then he stops and he turns to Flint and says, or turns to Nero and says, can Flint lead? I don't want to be in the front anymore. And then because he asked Nero that, and then Flint laughs and is like, oh, what, are you scared of the spider webs or something like this? And then, Kit's like, no, I just blah, 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 blah. And then, so now there's actually a choice. You see what I'm saying? Because if you just make something that's that quote unquote little, even though it's not little, right? That little decision point then sets a point that the dialogue can then rotate around. Does that make sense? It's like a fulcrum. It's a focal point, right? The focal point of the scene becomes the fact that Flint doesn't want to be the one with the lantern in the front of the pack. He wants it, or Kit, he wants it to be Flint. And he asks Nero, who's the older one who's leading them, for it to be Flint, right? And now all three of them are talking and we have this whole thing back and forth. And so this is what I'm talking about with you guys, like finding little scene decisions. They're not little. They are big because you use that little moment to express the different positions of the characters. And then you go from something that is three characters standing and talking to three characters that are moving in physical space as well as in dialogue as they are going through this decision point, as they're in this point of conflict. Cool. Glad you enjoyed it. Okay. We are halfway here. Mr. Benoit. Fight. This should be fun. And correct page count. Thank you, sir. Well, not dox him. Sorry about that. Here we go. Fight. By Joseph M. Benoit. Black screen. A PA system drones on with incomprehensible announcements. Train wheels screech. Buzzers bark and boarding doors bing. White type appears. One is never afraid of the unknown. One is afraid of the known coming to an end. Jiddu Krishnamurti. Cut to black. Interior train car, Grand Central Station day. Car doors open onto a platform where a small gray-haired man, Mr. Navanta, 90, meets a tall, black MTA employee, Nick, 36. New Yorkers edge around them to board the car. Hey, Mr. Navanta. Hello, Nick. So, what's good? You been to your doctor's appointment? Everything cool? No, my friend, it's not. It's just as we said. Nick is gut punched. Crestfallen. Oh man, I was only playing with you when I said all that. No, I know. Well, it's worse. This is it, my friend. It is what it is. I'm really sorry about that, sir. You all right? You gonna be all right? I'm gonna be fine. And you're gonna be fine. That's what's important. 90 years old. What are you gonna do? Golly. It's enough. Now I'm going home. Is 148th Street back open? They called out the guard for that. Did you hear? My cousin's in the National Guard. He was up in all that mess. Crowd control. What was it after all? What did it turn out? A bomb? Then I heard knife fight. I don't know. Yeah, first they said it was a bomb scare, but it was just a mechanical failure on the cross line. Well, I'm so glad I caught you, because I was thinking. I wanted to tell you what the doctor said. You take care now. It's going to be all right, Mr. Navanta. It is what it is. You be good, Nick. You'll be all right. Navanta boards and looks for seating. Two passing MTAs call for Nick to follow them, but he stands watching Navanta through the closing door windows. Interior train car minutes later. Navanta sits between a black woman, Marti, 28, in a hard hat, safety vest, and an electrician's tool belt, and an old woman, 80s, in a white overcoat and beige scarf. She holds the corner seat pole with both hands, white head bent down between her arms, face hidden. A Wall Street type Clovis, 30s, a black man in a snazzy power suit, holds a tablet and in British English talks into the open air. White earpods plug his dark head, shutting him off from the life in the rest of the car. A gangly white kid, Duncan, 22, in a white hoodie and baggy jeans, holds a longboard skateboard like a sentinel with one end balanced on his vans. Marty squirms her tool belt around Navanta to stand, reaching up for the overhead rail. Nobody's favorite vagrant Gideon, 45, enters the car. Shoulders swaying, arms slung down along his thighs, like Gideon thinks a tiger moves in a mangrove. His knees almost bumping his chest. He doesn't care who he brushes against. Marty does. Her full, high buttocks protrude from the line of commuters standing along the overhead rail. "'Scuse me." Gideon whirls around with a ready sneer but steps on Clovis's Ferragamos. "I do beg your pardon. Was I not just standing here, my man?" Gideon turns on Marty to Clovis with slow menace. But with a quick pivot to the side, Gideon swipe kicks Duncan's longboard up like a parking lot barrier arm. Good thing Duncan has a tight grip. It spins in an overhead arc like Big Ben on speed trying to get to midnight. Hey, hey, hey! Navanta pulls Duncan by his long arm. Duncan whirls around with the board, see the old man, and obeys. Navanta guides him down out of any coming fray. "Come here. Sit right here." Duncan pulls the longboard close, embarrassed. "I was just standing there." He slithers into the seat without touching the bent old woman, who hasn't moved a hair. "That's fine. Listen, I have something to tell you. I've been thinking." Clovis doesn't much want to look into Gideon's eyes again. He steps back to bend over his scraped shoe in a grand Broadway bow. "Look at my shoe! You've actually cut the leather, my guy!" Gideon, swaying low again, turns away from his accuser, but hits his head against the pouches on Marty's tool belt, jostling her. "You gotta be shitting me right now." Clovis looks around the car for an MTA officer and some support among the New Yorkers. Duncan hugs his longboard and bends an ear towards Navanta. "Don't mind what happens. Live life like a leaf blown about on the wind." I can't really keep up with you on that, sir. I can't follow you." "Of course you can't." The train begins to whine, signaling the next stop is approaching. Gideon rights himself. Excuse me. Gideon rights himself with difficulty, as though stunned. But determined, he now rummages in his baggy army coat, leering at Duncan. There is no tomorrow. There is only the present. Marty chews her gum in deliberate, measured bites. She studies Gideon from under hooded lids. Once, those almond eyes, the false lashes, never touch. Twice. Clovis has despaired of meeting anybody's eyes. He finds an excuse to vent in Navanta's pronouncement. "Next, you'll be telling us the future doesn't exist, innit?" Gideon pulls a blackjack from the dark olive folds of his army coat and cocks his elbow, turning to Duncan. Marty surreptitiously takes a utility knife off her tool belt and presses it into her thigh, bites thrice. "It doesn't..." There to Duncan in earnest. There is only the present moment. No success. The train begins to screech in earnest, air brakes hissing loud. Clovis shouts over the din. Well, I happen to know it does. I just bought 20,000 shares in it, didn't I?" Deafened, Duncan is squeamish. He doesn't know what's expected of him. Navanta reaches out to try and catch the corner hand pole above the old woman's head. "Futures. Futures. Reaches out to try to catch a corner hand pole with a gesture reminiscent of calling friends in a loud bar to gather round for a toast. But he speaks right to Duncan, and no failure. "Kind of complex for me, sir, I'm afraid." One side of the automatic double doors slips open and bounces against its rubber stop. The brick wall of the tunnel up close now, whizzing by fast. The noise in the car is even louder. "Not afraid. You're afraid of being afraid." The New Yorkers stare onto the rasping surface of iron pipe and brick chunks clawing by. You reach out and touch that, and you lose a hand. The New Yorkers all back away into the center of the crowded car. As Gideon steps to Duncan, Marty spins on Gideon, evocative of her past life, those fluid nights on the pole. Clovis steps up behind Gideon. Fed up, he reaches for that sunken shoulder. Surrender to life's flow without resistance. But Gideon sees those two coming. He abandons his target and slips away, dunking under Navanta's raised arm. Navanta is pulling himself up by his grip on the pole. His dress shirt's monogrammed initials down on his abdomen stand out from his open coat. Marty bites down a fourth time and brings her hand up in front of Gideon's shadow, now crossing Navanta's white shirt front. The blade divides the letter M from the letter N on the white expanse, and blood covers both letters. The car brakes are deafening. The New Yorkers are glued to the side of the rough surface, flying past the open door entrance by the gaping maw. Duncan looks at Clovis, unbalanced by the missed grab. Clovis goes down long and straight like a tree. Bloody New York! Marty follows Gideon towards the working set of doors. The shaking car is thunderous, slowing. Gravity pulls everyone down into a bracing crouch. Navanta falls between legs onto his back, directly beneath the old woman's huddled figure. He looks up at her there. She is perfectly placed to see his face. From under her arms, her glazed eyes light up in surprise. What is that nice gentleman from 148th Street doing on the floor? Navanta looks back at her, over heaving breaths like after a good long run, satisfied. He permits himself the hint of a smile. His eyes twinkle, and he stops trying to catch his breath. Okay, this is cool. I like your characters, and I know classic Joseph Benoit style. You play the dialogue a little off straight. But I like the different perspectives. And your note about the futures, that was a good thing for me to kind of key in there. I think I like your different characters here a lot, and they kind of play off of each other. And you play your fight kind of with like the shirt, right? The shirt's a great example. Rather than, let me find that line because it's such a Joseph line. Yeah, here we go. Page 6. The blade divides the letter M from the letter N on the white expanse, and blood covers both of the letters. This is definitely a Joseph sentence. You could even break them up, cut the and make it blade divides the letter M from the letter N on the white expanse. Blood covers both letters. And insert, yeah. Clovis, Duncan, Navanta, Gideon. See, that's what I really like how you took this. The fight in yours is much different from some of the other fights that we've seen, which is very cool. Those are all names that mean warrior. Interesting. Every name. Huh. Good to know. Joseph says that all the names are names that mean warrior. Fascinating. And Navanta means 90 in Italian. You're going to find an Italian man in New York, most likely in a Joseph screenplay. Gotta always have some of that Italian in there. Cool. I like this one. Yeah, it's always just the whole the pendulum of when that dialogue and your exchanges are more offbeat, you are creating that visual image more and more. You're relying, and it's a strong thing to do. You're relying on your ability to create the particular image in the head of the reader, so that they're getting that nuance across. And it's a lot easier to feel and see that nuance in the final film, but it's, on the page is where where it can be harder. Cool. Number 5 of 7. Mr. Bushka's screenplay, Lineage, and is 6 pages. Excellent. Let's check it out. Interior, Hospital Bay in International Base on Titan. Evening. Chris, about 30, very tall with a frat boy look, even in a space business suit, helps Bill, very elderly, out of a hospital bed. There is a view of the surface of Titan from the room, a dark methane lake, cliffs, and a lighted tower, and an enormous spindly structure stretching into the sky, with a long tether chain leading to a metallic torus, a spaceship, and above that one, spinning section of a gigantic O'Neill cylinder. Let's look up an O'Neill cylinder just for the visual. Something like this. So we're going super space sci-fi here. Okay, I'll escort you to the Taurus, while the residents of Colony watch a final concert. I feel well enough for the concert. That's up to me. I still think you need to keep your distance from the principals. Chris helps Bill into a wheelchair. Through some airlocks and tunnels, they ride up to the chute to the Taurus. Interior Taurus waiting room later. Chris leads Bill to a simple room where there are a few chairs and a cot, held in place by some artificial gravity as the Taurus has its own rotational plane. There is a widescreen TV. There's also a refrigerator. Okay, you'll listen to the refrigerator cycles. At some point after a 30-minute rest, the defroster comes on. When it stops, you can come up by tram to the recital room. Old-fashioned stuff from the days of the pandemic. That's the way it has to be, because I want it my way. Every colony needs its dictator. Somehow the child has to be mine. In the end, it's like The Ring. Exterior entrance to O'Neill cylinder above Community 2025 later. Chris gets off the tram and views the scenery of the inside of the cylinder, with several separate communities separated by artificial fields, hills, and streams, with a tram railroad running around and some ordinary roads. Brian and Jamie, both early 20s, accompany him, along with Tavina, ageless. You all know the deal. We want to give Bill his progeny now before we go back to Earth and then take off for Proxima B. I think he'll make it. Interior auditorium in Village 2000 of O'Neill cylinder later. Chris sits on a stage with Brian and Jamie along with Elmo. There is a grand piano. There's a large audience. Let's do something different than... Let's say the large audience verbs. The large audience does a thing. The grand piano stands in the center. Stuff like that. Okay, you all know what to expect. You'll enjoy one last piano concert by Elmo. Then we will file the tram to the Taurus and then board the spaceship to go back to Earth for a month or so before its last days. We know what's coming for them. They don't. We'll load about 1,000 more colonists from the Lake of the Woods in Minnesota when we're there. Some of us have taken on special roles. Both actors and cadets can graduate to angels eventually, but actors like Jamie here have the responsibility for living inside someone's head. That takes more personal transformation. Interior Taurus waiting room later. Bill watches the concert start as Elmo plays Bill's sonata. The fridge cuts off as the cycle starts. Time lapses 30 minutes. The defroster compressor has started as the sonata concludes, but after another hour it hasn't stopped. There is a little smoke around the base of the fridge. Bill hobbles up, walking without the wheelchair but using a crutch. He is surprised he can negotiate out to the tram station. He takes a train. Bill hobbles onto one more train, reaching a station near the concert auditorium. Brian stands between Jamie and Tavina, who is seated on a couch in the waiting area, bouncing a little as the artificial gravity is weaker. Jamie approaches and stands in front of Brian, but Brian shakes his head. He moves back toward Tavina and starts touching her, kissing her. God, Brian, the hero cadet, you just want her for yourself. It's all just natural instinct, my friend. Tavina makes only minimal effort to fend Brian off. Bill hobbles toward them and sticks the crutch into Brian's face, knocking out a tooth. I've never fought anyone in my our or your life. Chris now jumps into the area. There's always a first time. Chris restrains Brian himself and pushes away Jamie. He steadies Bill standing on his crutch. Brian, there's another idea. You can really switch sides. Brian backs away. He walks back toward the entrance where he had laid down a knapsack. Brian pulls out a bottle of cream. He creeps up behind Jamie, holds Jamie in a full Nelson with one arm, unbuttons Jamie's shirt with the other, and applies the cream to his chest, then removes the shirt and dries Jamie off with a towel. Tavina lies back on the sofa as Jamie then has relations with her. She does not resist. Goal found? ? You're funny sometimes, Bill. Bill stands tall without his crutch. It feels good to be young and strong again, and a father. Mission accomplished. But Bill, you have to stay in the Taurus here. The others can board the spaceship. Jamie will take your place for the month you would have been in Minnesota. Tavina will have to raise the baby on Earth with what's left of it. She'll have to come later on a rescue mission. Bill starts to kneel, and suddenly his legs collapse underneath him as if crushed. He lies on the floor. Okay, Jamie, you know my contacts in Grand Mowery. That place will be relatively safe from the Russian EMPs. There's only one way I can really become you when I'm back on Earth. Brian? Chris leads both Jamie and Bernie away from the crowd. Who's Bernie? You have to make amends, like I have to let him do me. You can give Jamie a way to reciprocate. You should film it for me. Chris pulls a Sony ZV camera out of his own backpack and gives it to Jamie. Tavina, you'll have to wait for them until the end. Jamie comes with you to Earth and Minnesota again. Looking forward to this now. I'm a little confused on this dialogue, but Brian doesn't come through. He came in second, and Bill, I don't think you'll want to see him as you wait, left behind. If you live long enough, you might see Proxima B yourself. Otherwise, you will just become Jamie. Exterior, northern Minnesota safe house day. Tavina nurses her new son, Jonathan, as Jamie as Bill attends. I dreaded the loss of our modern world my whole life. Prepperism isn't so bad. We lived like a century ago here until the ship returns. Interior, spaceship en route moments later. Bill crawls along the floor in his cubicle without legs. Another day or so, your time. You'll see your wife bunked down. And what happens to Jamie? He was a great guy. What do you think? Or want? Okay, cool. This is an interesting one, Bill. I love goal found ? I guess Jamie got his goal. I like your setup in the beginning. I think you spend more time before we get to that first problem. Where's the inciting incident? Inciting incident is page 3. I like that. I like that we're spending more time in our setup, which is something I know we've been working on, John. So, cool. Sometimes, John, and people all kind of talk in their own language, but sometimes your dialogue loses me. Sometimes it needs a touch of clarity. Like sometimes I forget what really is the feeling supposed to be projected forth with this dialogue. It's related to my sci-fi screenplay epiphany, which embeds my own DATT backstories. And that is Lineage, John Bushka's sci-fi epic. trying to think if I have anything else to say on this one. I don't think so. 2 more. John Boy back at it. My favorite Brit. The Flying Scotsman. I know some... Oh, never mind. Okay. And it's 6 pages, as requested. Thank you. Let's read The Flying Scotsman, also called Betting Shop Robbery. Black screen. A telephone rings. It is answered with, yeah? I've got a little job for you. Yeah, when, where, and how much? 4-man team, 100K. Minimum, equal split, tomorrow. 100K before or after the split? Before, Scott. And it ain't the crown jewels. No guns, you know I hate guns. No guns. You've got my word. Fade in. Interior betting shop day. Piercing alarms wail, blue lights flash inside and out, and security shutters slam down on the counter. A robbery is going wrong. Richie Black, 30s, holds a gun to the temple of a man 70s, still clutching his betting slip. Richie's yelling through the shutters. Put the money in the bag or I'll blow this fucker's brains out. That's Richie Black. That's Richie Black, and I wish I'd never met him. It feels like a freeze frame here, if you want to toss that in. John Black and Jimmy Smith, 30s, point handguns at half a dozen shaken gamblers. And that's his little brother, John, and my best friend, Jimmy. Bang, bang! Richie fires 2 shots into the ceiling. The next one's in his head. A half-full bag is stuffed through a security hatch. Richie, let's go, man. Richie lets out an angry shriek, grabbing the bag. All 3 run out into exterior High Street day. Shoppers flee as the 3 masked and armed men run to interior high-powered Mercedes day. Climbing in, shouts of drive, drive, drive. Seatbelts, boys. Seatbelts, boys, please. Fucking drive, Scott! Scott looks at each of them with raised eyebrows and unwraps a stick of gum. Each put their seatbelts on hurriedly. Satisfying Scott, he shifts the car into gear, wheels spinning, and the car screeches off. That's where I come in. Meet Scotty McDonald, 30s, a.k.a. the Flying Scotsman. He's driving like a man possessed, power slides the car through a T-junction into heavy traffic, skillfully missing oncoming vehicles, left, then right, through the gears, swerving back into the correct lane, and accelerating away. The engine screams as the 3 passengers remove their ski mask. Richie scowls at his brother, screaming, "You shouted out my fucking name? I'm sorry, Richie, and don't fucking butt me. You're an idiot. I ought to stop waving that gun around, Richie. How much did we get? Fuck all, Jimmy, that's what. Guns, Jimmy? You promised me. Jesus, what happened in there? Shut up, Scott, and drive." Scott puts his foot down, teasing even more speed. Exterior industrial wasteland day. The gang's Mercedes speeds into view, losing itself between the large derelict warehouses. Interior derelict warehouse day. A flock of pigeons spook as the Mercedes enters and screeches to a stop. In the corner, a BMW and a Ford sit parked, ready and waiting. All 4 climb out, urgent and aggressive. Let's count it, split it, and get out of here. Richie dumps the bag on an old workbench. Opening it, he quickly assesses their reward. Fuck! Change of plan. How much, Richie? We go again. Right now. What are you talking about? We wrecked 2 bookmakers. Let's hit the other one. That's insane. No way. Let's just split what we've got. There's nothing in here. 10 grand max, and it ain't enough. We go again. Thanks. But no thanks, Richie. I'll just take what's owed to me and be on my way. There ain't enough, Scott. I spent 2 months planning this job. Just give them their cut, Richie. Shut up, John. Let me think. Jimmy moves to the workbench and attempts to assess the bag. Richie snatches it away. What the fuck, Richie? Enough! Split it 2 ways. There's 2 cars over there. You and John take one, me and Jimmy the other. I'll torch the Merc. It's a bad job. It's nobody's fault. Time to cut our losses. There ain't enough to split. Jimmy lunges at Richie. Give me the bag. The 2 scuffle. Richie elbows Jimmy's face, then kicks out, buckling Jimmy's leg. He collapses in a heap. Richie throws the bag behind him. You want it? Get up and fight me for it. Richie, enough of this shit. Jimmy scrambles to his feet, taking a stance in front of Richie. The 2 face off. Richie grins as Jimmy goes on the attack, throwing punches with both hands. Richie blocks, dips, and dodges them. Then with 1 head punch, drops Jimmy to his knees. Scott sees red, charging Richie. His shoulder pounds into Richie's waist, knocking him off his feet. They roll around in the filth. Scott headlocks Richie. John wades in, helping his brother, kicks Scott in his stomach, hard, knocking the wind out of him. Jimmy is recovering, getting to his feet as he grabs the bag. Now standing, Richie punches Scott hard to the face with a left hook, right hook, then a kick. Dazed Scott grabs Richie's foot, flipping him onto his back, crawling over and straddling him. His hands go round Richie's throat. John flies in, wrestling Scott off his brother. Scott flips him over, the three of them now tangled, jostling, punching, and kicking. Seeing the three of them locked together, Jimmy makes a run for it with the bag of money. Richie reaches into his jacket, pulling out a gun. Bang! He shoots Jimmy in the back. Jimmy drops to his knees momentarily before falling on his side. Shocked and wide-eyed, Scott punches John with all his force, knocking him out. Richie turns the gun on Scott. Scott freezes, locking eyes with Richie, whose sickly grin is back. Bang, bang, frozen. Richie's eyes widen. Bang, bang, frozen. Richie's eyes widen. Then a trickle of blood trickles from the corner of his mouth. The gun falls from his grip. Jimmy lies in the dirt, gun in hand. He gives Scott the faintest of smiles before his eyes close, and he slumps. Scott struggles to his feet and drags himself to Jimmy. He feels for a pulse and cradles his friend. Come on, Jimmy, stay with me. Jimmy's eyes flicker open and he tries to talk. I'm sorry. Jimmy's eyes close for the last time. John comes to, quickly assessing. He grabs Richie's weapon, pointing it at Scott. Scott grabs Jimmy's gun. Bang, bang! John slumps over his brother. Scott stands looking at the scene of death and his friend Jimmy. He picks up the bag. Reaching into his pocket, he pulls out a key fob. Pressing it, the BMW lights flash. He goes over to the car, dumping the bag on the back seat. Back to the Mercedes boot, he lifts it and pulls out a petrol can, pouring the fluid all over the car, inside and out. He climbs into the BMW. Starting it, he casually unwraps a stick of gum and, pulling away, undoes the window, lights a match, and flicks it at the Mercedes. Flames engulf it. I fucking hate guns. And a cloud of dust, Scott wheel spins away. Exterior industrial wasteland day. Smoke rises from an old warehouse. A BMW races away from it. I really do wish I'd never met Richie Black. And Jimmy, I really do hate guns. Fade to black. Awesome. That one's really fun. Fun, simple, crisp. I like it. I like it a lot. Every single one has been good, interesting, unique. The Flying Scotsman. I like when you really make the characters feel alive. Great work. The Flying Scotsman. Good work, John Boy. I don't really have a ton of notes here. I think you did a good job. I mentioned a couple things as I was going. But I like it. I don't really have huge notes. We start off with the 100K and then surprise problem, and yeah, it's good. 2 thumbs up. And here we are. How many pages? Let's see. 8. Okay. 8 pages. The Faithful Fool. Written by Victoria Stowe. Interior house, day. Uneven steps thunder against rustic floorboards. A man sits down on a stool, glancing over his shoulder while putting on worn-out leather shoes. To the side, next to his bag, rests an olive cap with an eagle emblem on it. A floorboard cracks far away. His head shoots up as he struggles to pull up the zippers of his boots. Mike? You there? Mike desperately tries to get the zipper to work. Is that... you mean Nick? But doesn't turn back. In his 40s, pale with dark holes underneath his eyes, an even rhythm of steps appears from behind. You going somewhere? Mike freezes, staring at the floor with muddy blue eyes. Nick, in his early 30s, has an unshaven beard that hangs on his face. His shadow blocks the dim light from the window. Mike doesn't look him in the eye. I can start the engine if you want. Had to go to the market anyway, so why not take us on a ride? Where is it that you're going? Mike shuts his eyes before getting up. Nick stands with his arms crossed, almost like a babysitter. He pulls out the keys from his pocket. In the corner of his eye, he catches a glimpse of the leafy cap. His mouth hangs open. Mike leans back. Well, I don't understand the significance. Mike leans back, nodding. The ceremony next week. The general called me, and, well, he wants me to help him with the organization. Nick chuckles lightly. His brother's face falls apart. You fucking kidding me? After what those bastards did to you? Mike stands up with a groan, leaning on one side. I can catch a taxi. The base isn't that far away. Nick glares at his brother. Mike reaches for his cap and puts it on. Nick averts his gaze from him. He hands Mike a cane from behind the door. Without a word, they both head out. Interior office day. At a wide desk, paper scattered all over it, a mountain of a man is reading a short document only a few pages long. His eyes dart over the pages. The door opens. Mike enters with a smile on his face. Nick is behind him, cold stone expression on his. Mike stands still for a moment before speaking up. General Davis. General, early 50s, shirt tight around his bulk. He looks up. The cold gaze flickers a smile. However, when it shifts to the man beside Mike, it draws back. Sergeant J, please, feel free to sit down. Both Nick and Mike sit opposite the general. Nick holds his brother's arm. I don't know who Sergeant J is, so it makes it hard to understand which one. But anyways. Nick holds his brother's arm as they sit, but Mike pulls it away. A small groan escapes his throat. Nick averts his gaze to the general. Davis doesn't even glance at Nick. Let's get on with it. So last week you met with the director, Scott Gerald. I guess you've been quite an inspiration to him, to say the least. Nick sharply turns to Mike with his head tilted. However, Mike doesn't even look at him, but nods even more to what the general is saying. Sorry, but why do you need this in the first place? Our troops were blown into pieces 3 times in a row. Do you think this is a particularly encouraging picture for our nation? As Nick opens his mouth, but Davis interrupts. Has Gerald told you anything about what he's preparing? No, sir, only asked me about my time in the army, or might as well say interviewed me. No mention of a script? Of actors? Mike shakes his head. Nick stares unmoving at Mike, specifically at the cap. Yet no pride is written over his face, only a grimace. Sir, with all due respect, where are you heading with that? Davis sighs as he lifts the short document before him. The guy is in the other room. Read it for yourself and pour some damn sense into his head. He hands it to Mike, for the first time glancing at Nick. Mr. J, I'm afraid you can't stay. You may wait in your car or somewhere until your brother is done here. Nick chuckles. Mike lowers his head at the so familiar laugh, at the feeling of the babysitter having to be around. His brother stands up. Don't worry, General. I'm not much sticking around to see how much more you can waste your budget. I'm not sticking around. Don't worry, General. I'm not sticking around to see how much more you can waste your budget. Before any words roll out, the door opens and shuts. Mike stands up with his cane, heading for the door as well, the document in hand. My apologies for this, General Davis. Davis is already going through his papers. No reply. Mike lowers his head, and on the blank page, a title flashes. Heroes, oh heroes. He shuts the door behind as cautiously as he can without making a single sound. Interior dark-lit room, base, later. Gerald, early 50s, is sitting with a typewriter in front of him. The door blasts open. He jumps. What the hell is this? Before the director can turn around, Mike throws the script on the table in front of him. The veteran's eyes are soaking in redness. A presentation, a sort of a play to welcome the boys. Right, such a warm welcome. And your little soldier, oh, I'm so flattered to be his prototype, you sick fuck. What? So I don't know why he's so upset about it. I'd like to know. The director raises his eyebrows. Is that what is happening right now for you? Oh, just Vietnamese soldiers falling around while your character is crying about his injured leg? Sorry, whining about it as you've written? Mike points to the script. Wasn't it that what happened? Oh, yeah, and the general accidentally stumbles and pours his hot coffee on me and laughs. You have one job, show the honor of soldiers' sacrifice. What type of comedy do you think you're making? But this is even better, Mike. It's showing them the sacrifice. Being the hero isn't that. I need the why of this conversation. I feel like I'm missing an important piece of information as to why he does not want to do the script. Mike leans forward, jaw clenched from both the pain in his leg and the thundering rage inside him. His spit nearly drips down Gerald's face from that distance. Sergeant J, not Mike. Have your play, but if it's this pile of shit, I'll call the general and make sure that you'll never write with those two hands again. Gerald stares. Oh, I also forget. Gerald and General are like kind of too close to each other. I'm getting confused. I would pick a different name. Gerald stares with his eyes widened. Mike rises, grabs his cane and walks away, his limp visible from behind. Gerald's eyes don't flame in anger, but as if struggling for words. Interior Gershwin Theater, day. A vast room with hundreds of men, all in green and black, bold heads as they uncertainly look for their seats. Although bright lights glimmer over the stage, darkness covers the rows where the young men are. A limping figure in green and black enters, head lowered. The eagle emblem on his cap reveals muddy blue eyes beneath. Before sitting down, Mike smiles at the sight of those young men. He calmly flips through the script with Nick at his side. His brother has his face shaved, yet the same cold expression is still there. The lights go out. Mike lifts his head, closing the script with a satisfied smirk. The general walks on stage. Applause shakes the room. Thank you, thank you. Today, despite the struggle we're facing, will not be quiet or timid. Each of you is an example of our bravery. A news crew films with a 4-foot-long camera on the side of the stage. Nick scoffs, but Mike doesn't take his eyes off Davis. This is a celebration from director Scott Gerald, one of our liberty and the heroism displayed by all soldiers. Enjoy. He walks off, settling a few seats away from Mike. Drums thud as an actor in a uniform walks on stage. Mike leans forward. At the end of the row, he sees Gerald's thin figure. Oh, I'm here at last, free. A cutting dong lands as a flash of light explodes behind the actor. Silence for a beat. The actor falls to the ground like a sack of potatoes, legs all in blood. Mike's jaw drops as he goes through the script. The man screams in excruciating pain. Mike frantically flips through the pages as more screams are heard. He looks up slowly as he sees on top of the actor's head a well-known cap. Mike pushes himself up, but Nick holds him by the arm. No. Mike frees his arm as his feet fly towards the end of the row. Gerald turns to him with watery eyes. Just look at it. Look at the men behind us. Tell that fool on the stage to get off. Look at their faces. Please, just look at them. Mike pants as his eyes dart between Gerald and the rows before shifting to the quiet space above. Hundreds of faces stare in horror. Another actor walks on stage, a mountain of a man with a coffee cup in his hand. Mike is pushed away, sent falling to the ground. As he lifts his gaze, he sees the general holding the director by his collar. Throbbing pain blasts through Mike's leg as he cannot even roll to his side. Son of a bitch. Gerald lands a punch, enough to release the general's grip. However, he doesn't run or even crawl away. Just lays still. Oh, please, stop for God's sake. Shut up. Both actors freeze as they step towards the end of the stage. I really feel like I'm missing some sort of key information. There's some piece of information I'm missing here. Davis pins down Gerald with one hand, with the other swinging a heavy blow. Gerald's free hand goes to land a punch, but David catches it midair, twisting his wrist. Gerald cries out even louder than the actor. Nick grabs the general from behind, dragging him away from Gerald. No. He mumbles. Mike manages to lean on one leg as his gasps nearly drop him back down. The general warps his arms around Nick's neck. Nick smashes his elbow into Davis's ribs. The general doesn't flinch. Mike's eyes widen as his brothers close. Gerald laughs. The general puffs out, fists clenched tightly. Mike drags forward each step, worsening his limp. Call it off now. You are my true inspiration for this, general. Call it off. The true face of it. Yeah, I'm not quite sure what's going on as well, Wormy. The general holds him by the throat, swinging. They are fighting, but the context of the fight is a little lost on me. Swinging with one arm with flying bulk towards General's already bleeding nose. Mike kneels, gasping for air as he grabs his cane. He prepares it, raises it in the air with his eyes tearing up. Don't. Gerald coughs between the punches. Davis carries on the rhythm, a comforting lullaby. His cheeks scarlet flame. Gerald's gaze averts to the other end of the row. Mike follows it. From there, a single 4-foot-long eye captures each blood drop, yet doesn't move an inch closer. The director is making a satire instead of making it an honorable ceremony. Okay, cool, Victoria. So that was the context I was missing. So I think we want to make sure that's 100% clear in the earlier pages. That's just like literally that line you wrote is just an important piece of information we need to make sure gets hammered in, because I was confused on that. Mike stares at the scene before him. The blood splashes out from Gerald's coughing smile. The actors above yell louder and louder. Yet for Mike, the noise evaporates. He looks at Davis as if looking at a stranger. The cane grows cold in his fingertips as he drops it to the ground. Young and terrified eyes stare at everything except for him. Yet he can't look away from them. Raindrops gather in Mike's eyes. He pulls off his cap. The eagle's emblem gazes back at him. All space goes quiet. Mike drops the cap to the ground, lifts his head to the men before him, waterfalls dripping down his cheeks. Okay, good work, Victoria. Yeah, I think I think this is really good. I just really want to know that exact piece of information that you mentioned. So I don't think it's it all isn't working. I just think we want to get that piece of context you're mentioning fully clear. But I like this. Good work. The Faithful Fool. So the idea then is, okay, the director is making it a satire, and then our main character, Mike, doesn't want to be involved in the satire. Is that the fundamental conflict? Because I think that's what it is. And if so, then I think that's good. I just want to make sure that we get clear what the director is trying to do. Okay, I wanted to show, then tell, but yeah, so totally. Victoria says, okay, I wanted to show rather than tell, but I'll know to make it clearer from now on. Yeah, so this is the balancing act, right? The balancing act is being clear enough on the page so that the audience is tracking with you, but not being so on the nose that you lose people entirely. But in this case, it's just really most exposition, the large majority of story exposition is coming down to like just what you wrote in the chat, a line or two of important information we need. I think people get this sense of, oh, I have 4 paragraphs worth of world building to do, but a lot of times it's just like a key sentence that you need to make sure the audience gets. Victoria says logline and story circle are at the end. I also see Wormy wants me to look at his stuff. So, logline, when a young veteran from the Vietnam War is called to help a director organize a welcoming ceremony for the new soldiers, he must convince them of the honor of serving their country before the institution loses their nation's trust. So I don't think that logline is representing what's actually going on here. When a young veteran is called to help a director, when a young veteran is forced to do a satire with a director, he must decide, it's like he must do the performance even though it goes against his better judgment or something. I don't know, but I feel like it's more about the fact that this director is trying to put on this satirical thing, and your young veteran is in the dilemma of, I thought this was supposed to be serious. Why am I doing something that is satire? And that's his frustration. This is good. So yeah, Very clear in your inciting problem. The director, Gerald, who I think his name should be different because I'm getting confused, Gerald and General Davis, who's been assigned to work on this, is trying to present a short play of Mike's injury and make a satire out of it. Good. I just want to make sure that's 100% clear in that inciting problem. Mike threatens the director. So, okay, Mike threatens the director is not really a choice. So yes, listen to the director or get rid of the script is the choice for sure. This is the two sides of the choice. He must now choose between one of these options. And he should choose one of these options now, and then he backs. So I think at first he's listening to the director. Choice of commitment, beat 4, listens to director. Goal achieved at the ceremony. Mike has the new script that isn't a slab. Mike has a new script that isn't a slap across the nation's face. Okay, so in that way, he's choosing get rid of the script. So maybe he's choosing listen to the director here, and then he shifts his view. As the play unfolds, it's the same as the initial script. Yeah. I see what you're trying to do there. Yeah, you could have him write a new version. So his choice could be write a new version, and then the director's like, oh, okay. But then they're back to the initial script for sure. I like that. And then they get to fighting, and then Mike can either stop the general and the play from unfolding, or let them see what is the reality of being an American hero, and you can have him. He chooses to let them see. Yeah, cool. Okay, so yeah, I like the story circle. Good work. Wormy, where's your note document? Oh, is it this one? Is this it? Mr. Spoons? Okay, is this your story circles? You sent separate, right? So this is it. Okay, great. Is this your story circle? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Doesn't seem like it. I would like to thank Jesse and his eggs. May they never be beaten. So what did you say? What I learned? If we got this far, I guess I learned format properly. Don't do super conceptual stuff. I mean, you can do conceptual stuff. It just needs to matter. It's the mattering that's important, right? It's not that you can't do an interesting concept or a wacky, outer rim concept. It's about making sure it matters. 6 pages is definitely difficult. I would like to have more character development, some kind of arc. Well, yeah, you can do this. This is the purpose of a story circle. So if we look at Victoria's story circle, this is, you have 2 choices. Therefore, you have an arc in a single story circle. See you, Joseph. Right? First choice, I'm going to listen to my director. Second choice, I'm going to go against him. I'm going to choose to let our characters, our young soldiers, see the truth, right? Boom. 2 choices, character arc. This is why I said that if you only have one choice, you have half a story. This is why it's important. This goal achieved is such a turning point, right? The character thinks they got what they wanted, and then they have to hit the second half of the story. The inciting incident is the injury, then he's abducted by aliens, and then is forced to fight for his planet, right? So you have a protagonist that's not super active. Is thrown, picks up, is infused, wakes up in a cell. Sammy is not super active in your story. Good stuff, everybody. Really good work. Thank you for everybody who submitted. We had the Scorpion by our friend Wormy Spoons, Mexican Gray by Chairsman, Maury _homework _1127 by Allison, Fight by Joseph Benoit, Lineage by John Bushka, The Flying Scotsman, written by John Boy, The Faithful Fool by Victoria Stowe. Thank you guys so much for submitting this week. Now, Victoria, my main problem was I tried to cram a long idea into 6 pages. You were close though. I don't think that you're very close. That's what I'm saying. Like, getting some key context, some key exposition clear, and then you have something that can work. And then I think there is some on those 2 choices that you can hone in. Wormy says, yeah, agree. I really just wanted to get it to flow like John and Jesse. They have really nice flow. Totally, and I think you nailed that. Now I would say more characters, because remember I said you only have 2 characters in your fight. And I want you to think about individual scenes with 4+ characters. It really is helpful to expand your sense of how to write. Now, as for homework, there will not be any this week. I'm going to take a break from doing these for a little bit. These have been super fun. We've done a lot of fun work over the last few months in these Wednesday live streams and kind of sticking consistently to this. And I think this is a good point for us to stop, because I think some of you have really leaped forward. And you all have been working a lot in the Discord as well. And so that's excellent to see. I'm very happy to see you all working in the Discord and doing all that fun stuff. And yeah, I'm gonna take a break from doing the streams for a second. I'm going to enjoy. Thanksgiving is tomorrow. I'm going to enjoy Thanksgiving. And, yeah, I have no idea when the next stream will be. So I may be going on a bit of a hiatus. So, yeah. Once again, to those of you who attend these lives or watch the recordings, I hope they are of benefit to you, that you feel elevated and uplifted, that you feel clarity brought to your story and what you are dealing with and struggling with and this sort of thing. Allie, I will be in the Discord. How regularly will I be reading things? I don't know, but I will be around in the Discord for sure. And hey, if you want to join the Discord, here's a link. YouTube chat. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for submitting. Thank you guys for being... I mean, where else on YouTube, where else on the internet are people doing this? I don't know. I think this has been pretty special, pretty fun. Each of you have been very... You know, it's a weird type of stream that I do, right? It's like there's not 5 billion people here, but the people that are here are very engaged in what's going on, and I think that's a really interesting way that this has been set up. So there may be more streams. You know, I come and I go sometimes. Sometimes I'm streaming, sometimes I'm not. This is going to be one of those sometimes I'm not for a minute. So yeah, I got to run. I love you all. Thank you for being a part of this YouTube world and this writer thing that I've been doing. It has really meant a lot to me, and I hope it has meant a lot to you all as well. I'll see you when I see you. Peace.